Welcome back to our module 2 of our English language. Okay, today we shall learn some very interesting words. Okay, these words have the same spellings but different pronunciations. We all know English is a global language. We have to understand that if we have two same words, it doesn't mean that we are wrong or we are repeating words. No, they can have different meanings. They can even have different pronunciations but different spellings. So we will have fun with some of such words used in sentences. So let's begin. Okay, one more thing I would like to remind you, these kind of words that have similar words and spellings and pronunciations, they are referred to as homonyms and homographs. Okay, so now the first sentence we have here is, the bandage was wound around the wound. The bandage was wound around the wound. Okay, now we have a bandage, we have a wound. Wound is when we injure ourselves. Okay, and then when we wound something, the present tense of this is wind. So when you wind something or when you have wound something, it means when you put it around the wound. Okay, then the next one we have, the farm was used to produce produce. The farm was used to produce produce. So you can see we have two same words here, and the spelling is the same, but we have a little difference in the pronunciation. The farm was used to produce produce. Now the first produce here means to provide. Okay, when we are providing, we are planting and then we provide. And the second one, produce, are the products that we get from the farm. The products that are being provided are called the produce. That is the second one. Okay, now the third sentence, the dump was so full that it had to refuse more refuse. The dump was so full that it had to refuse more refuse. Okay, we have two words. We have refuse and refuse. So the first refuse here is when we want to avoid something, when we have a no to something. Okay, and the second one, refuse, this is another name for garbage. So a dump is where we fill garbage, or like a dustbin that is shown in the picture. So it was so full that it refused more garbage or refuse. Okay, so you see we have similar words here, a little difference in the pronunciation only. Okay, and the meanings are completely different. Okay, so now let's look at the next sentences we have. The first one is, he could lead if he would get the lead out. He could lead if he would get the lead out. Okay, now the two words here, lead and led. So the first one is when we show the way, that is like a leader who directs us or shows us the way. And the second one is lead, which is a metal. Okay, now the next sentence, the soldier decided to desert his desert in the desert. We have three words here, two with the same spelling, one with an extra S. The first one is desert, when you leave something. Okay, to leave something alone or to forget about something. Okay, the second one is dessert, that is the sweet we take after meals, anything that comes in a sweet dish. Okay, and the third one, desert, that is the sandy area that has a lot of sand only. For example, the largest desert in the world is Sahara Desert. So the soldier decided to desert his desert in the desert. Now the next one, since there is no time like the present, he thought it was time to present the present. See, since there is no time like the present, now the first present shows time. We know about present tense, that is the ongoing time, presently. Okay, he thought it was time to present the present. The second one here is when we want to give something, from the word presentation. Okay, so it was time to present, that is to give out. And the third one, present, which is another word for gift, like the small box of gift we have shown, okay, in the picture. So we have three words here, all with the same spelling, same pronunciation, but they all have different meanings. Now let's look at the next one. A bass was painted on the head of the bass drum. A bass was painted on the head of the bass drum. Now when we have a sound on the drum, that's called a bass. Okay, you can see we have two words here, bass and bass. They have the same spelling, but pronunciations are different. Now, when shot at, the dove dove into the bushes. Okay, when shot at, that is when we shoot. Shot is the second form of shoot. Okay, with a gun, maybe you shoot a bird. Now the bird we're talking about here is a dove. Dove is the name of a bird, like the one shown in the picture. And the second one is dove, which is the second form of the word dive. We have a word dive, so the second form of it is dove. So when shot at, the dove dove into the bushes. That is, it hid. It ran away and it hid itself. Next one is, I did not object to the object. I did not object to the object. We have two words here, object and object. Now the first one is object. You can see there's a difference in the pronunciation because the toning in the first one, we have to take it, we have to pull it upwards. The second part of the word object, when you raise an objection, when you have to speak against something. Okay, let's say for example, everyone says that these online classes that are going on during the lockdown are very important for all the students. But let's say some students objected to this and said, no, they are irrelevant. Okay, that is when you don't agree to something, it means you object. Now the second one here is object. Object is any non-living thing. It can be a table, it can be a chair, it can be also virtualities such as we can have words like we have thoughts, or maybe somebody's speech, or maybe somebody's idea, somebody's decision can also be referred to as an object. The same way as I gave the example that we had this statement that online classes are good for the students, but somebody objected to this, that no, they are not. So I did not object to the object. Okay, you can see they all same words, same spellings, but different meanings. Okay, next we have the insurance was invalid for the invalid. Now in this situation, both the words have the same spelling, same pronunciation, but different meaning. So we have an insurance which was invalid, that is, it wasn't correct, it wasn't useful, or rather it wasn't legal for the invalid, for somebody that is invalid. You know, the word valid comes from when something is genuine, and then something that is invalid is when it's not genuine, it's not legal, something that is illegal. Okay, so both the words here have the same pronunciations, but the meanings differ. Now the next one, there was a row among the oarsmen about how to row. Now you see a row, the first one, R-O-W, the first row here means a fight or a quarrel, and oarsmen are people who row the boat. So the second one is the verb, the action verb of rowing, such as the one shown in the picture. Look at it, there's a man sitting and he's rowing the boat. Okay, he is an oarsman, and the oarsman there had a quarrel, which is the first row. So there was a row among the oarsmen about how to row. Next is, they were too close to the door to close it. They were too close to the door to close it. Now we have the word close here twice. The first one is here refers to when we are near, when you're near something. Okay, that is like you have a very little distance between yourself and the somebody. Or let's say here we are talking about the door. So the door was very close to me, it was just next to me, it was near me. Okay, and the second close means to shut. When you shut down something, like you have a box and it has a lid on it, so you close it, that is you put the lid on the box, it means you're closing it, you're covering it. So they were too close, that is they were too near to the door to shut it. Okay, see, English is really interesting, you know, same words, same pronunciations, but different meanings. Okay, the next one now. A seamstress and a sewer fell down into a sewer line. Now, a seamstress is a female tailor and a sewer is a person who sews clothes. Okay, and they fell down in a sewer line. Now, a sewer line are the underlying pipes that that have the flowing human waste in them. You know, the sewages, the sewer lines, they're often underground. We don't have them on top. They're always underground in buildings because they take away all the waste materials and they have a bad smell. So that is why they're underground. And now, so a seamstress and a sewer. So the first one is a sewer, a person who sews clothes is a sewer. And the second one is a sewer line. The next one, to help with planting, the farmer taught his sow how to sow. To help with planting, the farmer taught his sow how to sow. Now we have a farmer and we have the action of planting. So the farmer teaches his female animal, which is a sow, how to sow. That is how to dig the ground and prepare it for planting. So we have two words here, sow and sow. One is a noun and the second one is a verb. Okay. Now the next one. The wind was too strong to wind the sail. The wind, okay, we know wind, that is the strong air, was too strong to wind the sail. Okay, the sail is this, if you can see in the picture, you can see this ship, a small boat kind of thing here in the water. Okay, and then wind. Wind is when you take something with a lot of pressure upwards, you roll up something. So the wind was very strong. One is wind, one is wind. Now the next one. Upon seeing the tear in the painting, I shed a tear. So we have the two words here, tear and tear. Now the first one is when you tear something, that is when you cut it out into pieces. Okay, like you tear a paper into two parts, that is tearing apart. And the second one is tear, that is the water that flows from our eyes. Those are the tears, like when we cry. As you can see in the picture, there's a funny guy sitting out there crying. Okay, so upon seeing the tear in the painting, I shed a tear. Well, I think that's all for now, kids and my dear friends. Hope you had fun with these. Okay, we will learn in details about homonyms and homographs in our next module. Honestly, it's quite interesting, although it's also confusing, but I'm sure you're really gonna have fun. And thank you so much for watching. Module 3 will be on very soon, and thank you so much and have a nice day. Stay home, stay safe.